Hi everybody, this is Josh with Josh Wright Piano TV. I wanted to make a short video today on teaching concepts or pedagogy concepts. For all of you who are who are budding concert pianists or just pianists who enjoy teaching or want to get into teaching, I'm going to go over some basic things today that I've seen success with in my own studio, and hopefully they can help you too. I have a little boy, or he's not really little, he's 14, but he is very advanced, and I said, you should think about starting to teach because you can make much better money than mowing lawns or doing things like that, and also you're using your art. You can learn so much more about yourself as a pianist when you teach. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. You can supplement your income, and you can learn so much more about the instrument and the potential that it has. And as you teach things, your students will teach you things that you never thought you knew. They'll explain, oh, this is how I practiced, and you thought, oh, I never actually thought about that. Or just learning to explain things in a simpler way can help you organize music differently in your mind. So, what are the basics of teaching? Somebody calls you up and you've never taught before, and they say, do you mind teaching my 5-year-old some piano lessons? And so you think, oh no. First of all, I know a lot of teachers have problems with what I'm about to say. That's their opinion, and that's totally fine. But if you're a beginning teacher, go easy on yourself and just get some method books to start out with. Now, that doesn't mean you just stick with the method books. You have to supplement extra stuff to help your individual students. And great teachers like Leschetizky said, no method. He was always saying there should be no specific method. Each student should be different. But it can be intimidating for a young teacher. I remember I started teaching when I was 12. I had my first little student. She was 7. And I was pretty lost. I wasn't a confident 12-year-old that knew vast amounts of repertoire and all these different possibilities. I personally like to use the Faber method in my teaching, but I learned from the Bastian method, and there's several other great methods out there, so you can choose whatever you like. Each method has its advantages and its disadvantages. So I find that the Faber kind of addresses lots of different areas, so that's why I like it. It's called Piano Adventures by Nancy and Randall Faber, if any of you are just looking for a suggestion. And then I'll usually give them something like Junior Hanon or A Dozen a Day or things like that to start off with their technique. Schmidt preparatory exercises are great. I asked my 14-year-old student, because he said, I just don't think I can teach. I just don't think I'm good enough. And he's playing these Rachmaninoff preludes fairly well, and he's doing really great with his first Chopin etude. And I said, you mean you couldn't teach somebody how to do this? He said, oh, well, yeah, I could do that. And I said, you have a lot of potential. Tell me the basics that you would go over in a lesson. And I want to just narrow these down to a few steps for each of you. The first and most critical step that a student needs to take is learning their notes correctly. If you don't have the right notes, it's going to be a mess, okay? You really can't do much else if you don't have the right notes. That's the first thing you check as a teacher. Always check to make sure their notes are right. And even now, when I bring a new piece to my teacher, especially if it's a 20th century piece, I might have a note incorrect. And that's usually the first thing he addresses. He says, let's fix that note, and then we'll go on to things like expression and things. But it's a little silly to say, let's think about the colors in this piece when they can't even play the right notes. Okay, got to get the notes right first. Second thing I like to address is rhythm. Okay, solid counting out loud. I recently posted a video about counting. You want to do that. Okay, so count out loud always. And teach them good counting concepts. Watch that video if you haven't seen it, and review it in your mind, and make sure you can explain it simply to a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old or an 80-year-old. You don't teach a 5-year-old the exact same way you teach an 80-year-old, even though the concepts still remain the same, okay? The next thing I like to do, you can kind of depart at this point. Notes and rhythm are the first basic things, but you can depart and do what you want at this point. But I like to cover all of these bases, and I like to do them in this order. I like to get a basic expression of the piece, or just put in some real basic dynamics. Start out with fortes, pianos, mezzo fortes, and then you can put in some crescendos and diminuendos once they have those. Again, you're building a piece. Like if you were going to build a house, you wouldn't grab a can of paint the first day. You'd have to, get all the cement to pour the foundation and dig a hole and things like that. You have to do things in order. You know, the paint is the finishing touches. Is one of the finishing touches. The things that I want you to do next can be applied according to the student's level and abilities. If the student's a little more advanced, maybe starting at 9 or 10 years old, advanced so far as understanding, it's real hard to teach a 5-year-old the concept of voicing. But I like to teach notes, rhythm, dynamics, and then you can start to teach them, you know, bring one hand out more than the other. So if you're teaching them a real simple piece, little Bach minuet, they don't want to play, which a lot of kids do, because first of all, these notes down here are louder, and also it's easy to just kind of plunk out those notes. So teach them to play the right hand more than the left hand. Okay? Along with voicing, that can be step number 4 or 5. Right along in that area, I also like to make sure that their articulation is good, so that you're not playing with the right rhythm. You fix the rhythm along the way, but yeah, you don't want to distort the rhythm there, and you don't want to distort the articulation. So, okay, so make sure they've got good staccatos and nice slurs, nice gentle releases. After that, you can go into concepts such as imagery or you know, voicing inner melodies and things like that, and it can get more advanced. But those are some basic things that you can do with kids, and also with beginner adult students. You want to check their notes, their rhythm, you want to check dynamics, you want to teach them how to voice, and then you want to make sure their articulation is right. And then also, if the piece requires pedal, make sure pedal comes in probably at the 3rd step in there. You want to almost do pedal before you do dynamics, if the piece has it. The reason I didn't include it right at the beginning is some pieces don't have a lot of pedal in it. I hope this has been helpful and gives you a good head start on teaching your students. Don't feel that you have to be an amazing concert pianist in order to teach, but also don't just teach random concepts. I see so many bad examples of teaching out there. So often, you know, if a student comes to me, sometimes they have problems that were just overlooked by their last teacher. Just go through and check these steps. These aren't my concepts. These were concepts that I've been taught from master teachers, and they're just simple things. So I know this can enhance the quality if you already are a teacher, or if you're looking to teach. This can give you a nice ground off, a nice home base to work from. I hope this has proved beneficial. If anyone has questions or would like to apply for private online lessons with me, my email is josh@joshwrightpiano.com. Thanks for joining me today.